Hello there, and welcome to this special edition of Talk to Bhupen. Over the last couple of months, you have seen how on this platform we have attempted to only talk on the basis of facts, speak on the basis of substance, not on the basis of political rhetoric. My guest today, someone who I've always said needs absolutely no introduction, and someone who speaks as straight as an arrow. Dr. Subramanian Swamy, Rajya Sabha MP, and someone who has been tweeting away aggressively and expressing himself in terms of what he feels is right or wrong with India's Chinese policy and right or wrong with India's economic policy. So on the show today, we're going to address these two questions with Dr. Swamy. Thanks very much, sir, for taking time out for us. Always good to see you. Always good to see you, sir. So let me straight away begin, Dr. Swamy, and first ask you to explain to me exactly what do you think is going on with the Chinese. The Indian government is so reluctant to even accept that there has been a Chinese transgression on our side. Firstly, do you accept that this finger four, which is being spoken about, has been breached by the Chinese, sir?
Well, the statement today in the media, I think, is a giveaway because our government has said that they are going to demand from the Chinese in the talks that they should restore the status quo. That means the status quo has been violated, and there's only one way to violate it, and that is to further come into Indian territory. And according to sources in other countries, they say about 100 square kilometers has been taken by the Chinese. They have moved in heavy artillery, trucks, and tanks, and so on. I mean, not into Indian territory, but on a standby. But their troops have come into what we believe is in our side of the LAC, and it's in Demchok, it's in that valley, Gamtok Valley, and also in northern Sikkim. And I wouldn't be surprised, given the very surprising change in the attitude of Nepal, that you could find Chinese troops coming into Uttarakhand through the mountain passes. So I think it's a serious thing, and I would say the provocation cannot be just simply what is stated, that India has been encroaching on their territory. India has definitely built a much better infrastructure than we had before in the UPA. But that is, I say, on our side of the LAC, it is perfectly legitimate. So that's just an excuse. I think the Chinese want to do what they did to Jawaharlal Nehru. I don't know whether they'll be successful, but that is to shake the reputation of the Prime Minister. So we have to handle this very, very carefully.
Right, Dr. Swamy, I find this very interesting. You are saying, sir, the same Chinese establishment, which just a few months back was being hosted and toasted in Mallapuram in Tamil Nadu, and we all saw those great pictures. You are saying the Chinese today, sir, want to shake the Prime Minister? Why would they do that, sir, today?
But what else is the outcome of this? You see that they have come into our territory. We are only asking for talks. We are not repulsing them. So in a sense, the outside world would think that we have been, the Chinese are breathing down our necks, and we are feeling uncomfortable about it.
So we prepared a
full plan. Nepal's behavior was not so violent against us.
But I
think we could have made our reputation.
So just to settle this point before we move on to Nepal, sir, because I think it's a very important point you're making. You are saying, sir, that the Chinese would want to shake on the Indian Prime Minister. Now, let me understand this clearly from you, sir. The way the demography of parts of Ladakh exists, it's a long border that we have, the line of actual control, sir, that we're looking at. The specific accusation which is being made by many within the military establishment is that the Chinese have now come into Indian territory and are in occupation of area around Finger Four, which used to be technically with India side. These parts around these
areas.
Time. Yeah?
For the first time.
For the first time. Now, are you saying, sir, that the Indian government, despite all this tough talk, is basically willing to give up this territory because we can't push back the Chinese militarily? So Are you saying that that is where the story is now moving, that we may well be forced to give up this territory?
No, listen, I don't go by this idea that we can't push them back and things like that. But, it's an awful timing because of the coronavirus, and then the fact that last 4 years, because of lack of good economic policy, we have come down to 3% in this just completed financial year. And so, we are in a difficult situation, and to add to this military, which may not be a short one, because Chinese also have a reputation to lose. So I think the Chinese have picked their timing in such a way that you are in what they call as a catch-22 situation. And I think the Prime Minister would do well to consult with all the opinions within India and then take a stand, because the government alone taking a stand would be something that might be reminiscent of some of the mistakes we made in 1962.
But why is it so difficult, Dr. Swamy, for the Indian establishment to give us a clear picture? I saw the statements which were made by Rajnath Singh, your dear friend Rajnath Singh, the defense minister. It's almost as if there is a section of this government, sir, which wants us to believe that there is no transgression. That Chinese, if anything happened, Chinese are in their territory. This spin doctoring, Dr. Swamy, even when the Chinese have come into our territory, sir, what does this tell us about your government, sir? It's your government at the end of the day.
It's not a question of my government. It's a weakness that we Indians have, that we want to put the best face forward or the best spin forward. Jawaharlal Nehru also said, I've asked my troops to throw the Chinese out, you remember? And you know what the consequences of that was. But India has demonstrated that it's capable of pushing the Chinese back. We did it in 1967 in the Sikkim Valley. We have been in the past doing it in Arunachal. So, I mean, not that they have crossed any line as such, but at the border itself, we have given them, a taste of what we can do. This one is something that they have done it in a very swift way. And I think we need to have a clear planning. And if you want to talk with them also, there has to be some credibility in talking, because the Chinese are not easy to talk with. They have to win their confidence first, and the people whom you send should have that kind of status within them that they are willing to talk frankly and stick with. Otherwise, they are once they are enraged for whatever reason, I don't know. I do think they are enraged. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this.
Why? Please answer, sir. Please, Dr. Swamy.
It could be a number of reasons for, I can't say. But for example, just after the coronavirus thing came, what did our people always celebrating? Now the American companies will leave China and come to India. No company came, by the way, and can't come because the Americans are there doing what is called as switch trade, namely semi-processed goods coming from East Asia and adding value to it and make it into final goods and then export it to the West. That facility we don't have. So the Chinese will probably go to Vietnam, Bangladesh, and so on, where they can do just about what they want. So I think this kind of almost looked like a celebration. And we were also a bit quick in our,
So the Chinese are punishing us. Dr. Swamy, the Chinese
are not punishing us. Listen, if you react in some kind of frustration, it's not punishing you. We are not able. We are not so weak that we can be punished. But there's a price to pay, and we should be ready to pay. And for that, you have to create an environment